From the Celestial Observation Deck, Filing Cabinet number 47896. Note: Emergency intervention authorized. Subject has unknowingly initiated sequence of events that could end civilization. Also, he adopted 17 cats. Both situations require immediate attention. Divine Commentary. Let me start by saying that Kevin Kowalski is not a bad person. He's actually quite sweet. He volunteers at soup kitchens, calls his mother every Sunday, and once drove 3 hours to return a wallet he found in a parking lot. The problem is that Kevin has the cosmic awareness of a goldfish and the decision-making skills of a caffeinated toddler. Kevin Kowalski, age 34, was the kind of person who approached life with boundless enthusiasm and absolutely no forethought. He was a freelance solutions consultant, which meant he got paid to fix problems he usually created. An amateur urban gardener. His tomatoes had achieved sentience and were plotting against the neighbors. And a passionate believer in the power of positive thinking to overcome basic physics. On this particular Tuesday morning, Kevin stood in his apartment kitchen, staring at what appeared to be a small mushroom growing out of his wall. It was purple, glowing faintly, and making a noise that sounded suspiciously like Gregorian chanting. "Huh," Kevin said, because Kevin was not a man given to deep analysis. That's new. Divine Commentary. The mushroom is not new. Kevin has been growing an interdimensional fungal colony in his walls for 3 months. It started when he decided to improve his apartment's humidity by installing what he thought was a state-of-the-art moisture system, but was actually a prototype reality warping device he bought from a guy named Cosmic Eddie on Craigslist. Kevin had discovered the device, a small crystalline cube that hummed with otherworldly energy while browsing the home and garden section of Craigslist. The seller, Cosmic Eddie, had described it as a revolutionary atmospheric enhancement system that would transform your living space into a paradise of optimal environmental conditions. What Cosmic Eddie hadn't mentioned, probably because he was actually an interdimensional being having a midlife crisis who'd been selling off his collection of reality-altering artifacts to fund a pottery hobby, was that the device didn't just control humidity. It controlled the fundamental properties of space-time within a localized field. Divine Commentary. For the record, we've been trying to track down Cosmic Eddie for 6 months. He's been selling dangerous cosmic artifacts to fund what appears to be a ceramics studio in the Andromeda Galaxy. His pottery is actually quite good, but that's not the point. Kevin had plugged the device in 3 months ago, and things had been getting progressively weirder ever since. His houseplants had started growing faster than scientifically possible. His cat, Mr. Whiskers, had developed the ability to phase through walls, which he used primarily to steal food from the neighbors. And his bathroom mirror occasionally showed reflections of alternate dimensions where Kevin had made better life choices. But Kevin, bless his oblivious heart, had attributed all of these phenomena to good vibes and positive energy. "The universe is really responding to my new mindset," he told his sister on the phone the previous week, while in the background, a temporal paradox caused his Tuesday to overlap with his Thursday, resulting in 2 Kevins trying to use the same coffee mug. Divine Commentary. There were briefly 2 Kevins. 2. Do you understand how much paperwork that generates? I had to fill out a temporal duplicate incident report, a reality violation form, and a request for emergency timeline consolidation. The Department of Cosmic Accidents made me submit everything in triplicate. Okay, the mushroom chanted louder. Kevin, displaying the scientific curiosity that had gotten him into this mess in the first place, decided to poke it with a fork. Divine Commentary. No, Kevin, do not poke the interdimensional fungus with kitchenware. The moment the fork made contact with the purple mushroom, Kevin's apartment exploded with light. Not literally exploded. That would have been easier to fix. Instead, the apartment became a localized nexus of reality distortion, where the laws of physics went to die and the concept of linear time came to weep. Kevin found himself standing in what appeared to be his kitchen, except the ceiling was now the floor. His refrigerator was growing leaves, and there were penguins in his sink discussing what sounded like stock market trends. Interesting, Kevin said, because Kevin was nothing if not adaptable. I should probably call my landlord about this. Divine Commentary. Emergency protocols activated. I'm calling in the Celestial Maintenance Department, the Department of Reality Repair, and the division of, oh no, not Kevin again. Yes, that's a real department. Kevin has his own department. The reality distortion wasn't contained to Kevin's apartment. It was spreading. By noon, the entire apartment building had become what the Department of Reality Repair was calling a localized zone of cosmic nonsense. Mrs. Henderson in 4B was aging backwards and had already reverted to her college years, where she'd apparently been quite the party animal. Mr. Johnson in 2A had discovered that his goldfish could now speak 17 languages and was offering relationship advice to anyone who would listen. The building superintendent had given up trying to fix anything because the tools kept transforming into small woodland creatures. Divine commentary, the goldfish's relationship advice is actually quite good. It told Mrs. Chen from 3C to break up with her boyfriend because he has the emotional depth of decorative gravel. Brutally honest, but accurate. Kevin, meanwhile, had decided to investigate the situation by visiting each affected apartment and offering to help. This was like asking a tornado to help organize your closet. "Hi, Mrs. Henderson," Kevin said cheerfully, knocking on the door of 4B. "I heard there might be some weird stuff happening in the building. Anything I can help with?" Mrs. Henderson, now 22 years old and wearing a vintage 1980s workout outfit, opened the door. "Kevin, thank God. Something's happening to time itself, and I think I'm becoming my younger self." "Oh, that's easy," Kevin said with the confidence of someone who had never successfully assembled IKEA furniture. "You probably just need to embrace the change. The universe is trying to give you a fresh start." Divine commentary. Kevin just gave metaphysical life coaching advice to a woman experiencing temporal regression. "I'm starting to understand why the Department of Human Oversight has such a high turnover rate." Kevin's help made everything worse. When he encountered Mr. Tommy Johnson's multilingual goldfish, he decided it needed more stimulation and introduced it to his cat, Mr. Whiskers, who was still phasing in and out of reality. The result was a telepathic bond between a reality-warped cat and a hyper-intelligent goldfish that immediately began plotting to reorganize the building's social structure. "They seem to be getting along great," Kevin observed, as Mr. Whiskers and the goldfish, now calling itself Dr. Bubbles, PhD in interpersonal relations, began conducting what appeared to be group therapy sessions for the building's other pets. Divine commentary. The pets are now more psychologically well-adjusted than most of the humans in the building. Dr. Bubbles has successfully resolved a long-standing territorial dispute between two cats on the 5th floor and helped a neurotic parakeet work through its abandonment issues. The reality distortion wasn't contained to Kevin's apartment. It was spreading. By noon, the entire apartment building had become what the Department of Reality Repair was calling a localized zone of cosmic nonsense. Mrs. Henderson in 4B was aging backwards and had already reverted to her college years, where she'd apparently been quite the party animal. Mr. Johnson in 2A had discovered that his goldfish could now speak 17 languages and was offering relationship advice to anyone who would listen. The building superintendent had given up trying to fix anything because the tools kept transforming into small woodland creatures. Chen from 3C to break up with her boyfriend because he has the emotional depth of decorative gravel. Brutally honest, but accurate. Kevin, meanwhile, had decided to investigate the situation by visiting each affected apartment and offering to help. This was like asking a tornado to help organize your closet. "Hi, Mrs. Henderson," Kevin said cheerfully, knocking on the door of 4B. "I heard there might be some weird stuff happening in the building. Anything I can help with?" Mrs. Henderson, now 22 years old and wearing a vintage 1980s workout outfit, opened the door. "Kevin, thank God. Something's happening to time itself, and I think I'm becoming my younger self." "Oh, that's easy," Kevin said with the confidence of someone who had never successfully assembled IKEA furniture. "You probably just need to embrace the change. The universe is trying to give you a fresh start." Divine commentary. Kevin just gave metaphysical life coaching advice to a woman experiencing temporal regression. "I'm starting to understand why the Department of Human Oversight has such a high turnover rate." Kevin's help made everything worse. When he encountered Mr. Johnson's multilingual goldfish, he decided it needed more stimulation and introduced it to his cat, Mr. Whiskers, who was still phasing in and out of reality. The result was a telepathic bond between a reality-warped cat and a hyper-intelligent goldfish that immediately began plotting to reorganize the building's social structure. "They seem to be getting along great," Kevin observed, as Mr. Whiskers and the goldfish, now calling itself Dr. Bubbles, PhD in interpersonal relations, began conducting what appeared to be group therapy sessions for the building's other pets. Strong, divine commentary. The pets are now more psychologically well-adjusted than most of the humans in the building. Dr. Bubbles has successfully resolved a long-standing territorial dispute between two cats on the 5th floor and help the neurotic parakeet work through its abandonment issues. The reality distortion had spread beyond the apartment building and was affecting the entire block. The local coffee shop was now serving beverages that changed flavor based on the customer's mood. The traffic lights had developed a sense of humor and were timing their changes to maximize confusion. And the fire hydrants had started growing flowers that screamed when watered. City officials were baffled. The mayor had called in experts from the university, but the physics professors had taken one look at the situation and declared it academically impossible before requesting sabbaticals to study pottery in South America. Divine commentary: the physics professors are actually right to flee. This level of reality distortion violates so many natural laws that I'm getting violation notices from the Department of Universal Constants. Apparently, I'm supposed to issue Kevin a citation for unauthorized manipulation of space-time continuum and failure to maintain basic causal consistency. Kevin, blissfully unaware that he was the epicenter of a localized apocalypse, had decided to help the city by volunteering for the emergency response team. "I think what's happening here," Kevin announced to the assembled crowd of confused officials, reporters, and reality-displaced citizens, "is that the universe is trying to show us a better way of living. Maybe we should embrace these changes instead of fighting them." The crowd murmured uncertainly. Kevin's enthusiasm was infectious, even when it was catastrophically misguided. "Take the coffee shop," Kevin continued, gesturing toward the building where customers were now receiving lattes that tasted like their childhood memories. Instead of regular coffee, people are getting beverages that connect them to their emotions. That's beautiful. Divine commentary: Kevin is accidentally leading a cult of reality acceptance. People are starting to believe that the cosmic distortion is some kind of spiritual awakening, rather than the result of one man's inability to leave interdimensional artifacts alone. A reporter from the local news station raised her hand. "But what about the practical concerns? People can't get to work because the roads keep changing into rivers. And the grocery store is now selling fruits that exist only in alternate dimensions. That's the universe telling us to slow down and appreciate the mystery of existence," Kevin replied. "Maybe we don't need jobs in the traditional sense. Maybe we need to find our true purpose." The crowd began nodding. Kevin's accidental philosophy was starting to make sense to people who had spent the last 2 days watching their reality melt like a surrealist painting. Divine commentary: this is how religions start. Kevin is about to become the unwitting founder of a cosmic cargo cult based entirely on his inability to recognize cause and effect. I need to intervene before he accidentally convinces everyone that interdimensional fungus is a spiritual teacher. The situation had escalated beyond municipal crisis to potential regional disaster. The reality distortion was spreading at an exponential rate, affecting 3 city blocks and showing no signs of slowing down. The governor had declared a state of emergency. The National Guard was maintaining a perimeter around the affected area, and several major news networks were calling it either the greatest scientific discovery in human history or the beginning of the apocalypse. Kevin had somehow been appointed as the community liaison for anomalous events and was giving daily press conferences from the steps of City Hall, which had recently sprouted wings and was now technically classified as both a building and a migratory bird. Divine commentary: Kevin is now an internationally recognized expert on cosmic phenomena, despite having the scientific understanding of a reasonably bright golden retriever. He's been invited to speak at Harvard, Oxford, and the United Nations. The irony is so thick I could use it as construction material. But the real crisis wasn't the spreading reality distortion. It was what Kevin was planning to do about it. "I've been thinking," Kevin announced to his growing crowd of followers, who now called themselves the embracers of cosmic change, "about how we can share this gift with the world. I mean, why should only our neighborhood get to experience this incredible transformation?" The crowd murmured enthusiastic agreement. They've been living in the distortion zone for 4 days now, and most of them had adapted to the surreal new normal. Mrs. Henderson was enjoying her second youth. Dr. Bubbles the goldfish had started a successful relationship counseling practice, and the traffic lights had developed such a refined sense of comedy that people were coming from other states just to watch them perform. "So I've decided," Kevin continued, "to take the device that started all this on a tour. We'll visit major cities across the country, spreading the cosmic love." Divine commentary: absolutely not. Kevin wants to take the reality warping artifact on a road trip. This cannot happen. If he manages to activate that device in a major metropolitan area, we could be looking at a cascade failure of local spacetime that could spread across the entire continent. The crowd erupted in cheers. Kevin beamed with the satisfaction of someone who believed he was about to gift the world with enlightenment, completely unaware that he was actually planning to tour the country with what amounted to a cosmic hand grenade. Divine commentary. Emergency intervention authorized. I'm going to have to break protocol and make direct contact with a mortal. The committee is not going to like this, but frankly, the committee isn't the one dealing with Kevin's enthusiastic approach to reality destruction. That night, as Kevin sat in his transformed apartment, which now existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously and had excellent Wi-Fi, he heard a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Kevin. Kevin looked around. Mr. Whiskers was phased through the ceiling. Dr. Bubbles was conducting therapy sessions with the plants, and the purple mushroom was still chanting in what Kevin had come to recognize as its evening prayers. Down here, Kevin. Kevin looked down and saw his toaster had started glowing with warm, golden light. Oh hey, Kevin said, because talking to appliances had become perfectly normal. What's up, toaster? Divine commentary. I can't believe I'm communicating through kitchen equipment. The things I do for cosmic stability. Sorry, Kevin, I need to talk to you about your plans for the road trip. Oh, that. Isn't it exciting? I'm going to share the cosmic transformation with everyone. Sorry, that's actually what I need to discuss with you. Kevin, do you remember where you got that crystal device? Kevin brightened. Craigslist from Cosmic Eddie. Great guy. Really understood the importance of atmospheric enhancement. Kevin, that device isn't an atmospheric enhancer. It's a reality warping artifact from another dimension. You've been accidentally tearing holes in the fabric of space-time. Kevin blinked. I have? Yes, the purple mushroom, that's an interdimensional fungus that feeds on cosmic energy. Your cat's phasing abilities? That's because he's partially existing in 17 different realities simultaneously. The talking goldfish? It's achieved consciousness because it's been exposed to the raw stuff of creation. Divine commentary, I'm explaining cosmic physics to a man through his toaster. This is not what I imagined when I signed up for celestial duty. Kevin processed this information with his characteristic optimism. So, I've been accidentally spreading magic? Not magic, Kevin. Dangerous alterations to the fundamental structure of reality. If you take that device on tour, you could cause a cascade effect that unravels the basic laws of physics across the entire continent. Oh, Kevin said quietly, that doesn't sound good. No, Kevin, that would be very bad. Kevin sat in silence for several minutes, watching Mr. Whiskers phase through a lampshade, while Dr. Bubbles explained to a fern why it had trust issues. So what should I do? He asked finally. Progress. Kevin is asking for advice, instead of just assuming he knows best. This is character development of the highest order. You need to turn off the device, Kevin. Safely. And then you need to help us contain the reality distortion before it spreads any further. But what about Mrs. Henderson? She's so happy being young again. And Dr. Bubbles has helped so many people with their relationships. And the traffic lights are genuinely funny. They're bringing joy to people's commutes. Divine commentary. Kevin's greatest strength and weakness. He genuinely cares about others' happiness, even when that happiness is based on catastrophic violations of natural law. Kevin, I understand that some good things have come from this situation, but the reality distortion is unstable. Eventually, it's going to collapse, and when it does, it could take a significant portion of your city with it. We need to fix this before that happens. Kevin nodded slowly. Okay, what do I need to do? Working together, with the voice in the toaster providing guidance and Kevin providing well-intentioned chaos, they developed a plan to safely deactivate the reality warping device and contain the dimensional distortion. The first step was convincing Kevin's followers that the cosmic tour was a bad idea. This proved surprisingly difficult, as the embracers of cosmic change had developed a genuinely profound attachment to their transformed reality. But Kevin, protested Mrs. Henderson, who had stabilized at age 25 and was considering a career change to professional dancing. This has been the best thing that's ever happened to our community. We're all connected now. We understand each other. I know, Kevin said gently, and I love that. But the thing is, this kind of transformation isn't stable. It's like building a house on a foundation made of wishes. It feels amazing while it lasts, but eventually reality has to reassert itself. Dr. Bubbles, speaking through a complex series of bubble patterns that everyone had learned to interpret, offered a different perspective. Perhaps the real transformation was the connections we made along the way. The device brought us together, but our relationships are real even without cosmic interference. The goldfish is wiser than most philosophy professors. This whole situation has been deeply educational for everyone involved. The process of safely deactivating the device was complicated by the fact that Kevin had no idea how he'd activated it in the first place. The voice in the toaster, who had identified itself as a concerned cosmic entity, guided him through the process step by step. "Okay, Kevin, I need you to approach the device very slowly and gently disconnect it from the power source." "Got it." Kevin reached for the plug, then paused. "Should I say goodbye to it first? It's been such a big part of our lives." Divine commentary. Kevin wants to have a farewell ceremony for the interdimensional artifact. This is either touching or terrifying. Possibly both. "That's actually not necessary, Kevin. Just unplug it." Kevin carefully disconnected the crystalline cube from the wall outlet. The moment the device powered down, the reality distortion began to fade. The apartment slowly returned to normal dimensions. The penguins in the sink vanished, though not before tipping their tiny hats in farewell, and Mr. Whiskers solidified into a single reality, looking somewhat disappointed about it. The purple mushroom gave one final, mournful chant and crumbled into ordinary-looking spores. Divine commentary. Reality restoration complete. The interdimensional fungus has returned to dormancy. The temporal anomalies have resolved themselves, and Kevin's cat is now existing in only one dimension. Success. The reality distortion faded gradually over the course of a week. Mrs. Henderson aged back to her normal 67 years, though she retained a youthful energy and had indeed started taking dance classes. Dr. Bubbles lost his enhanced intelligence, but seemed content with his regular goldfish existence. Though Mr. Johnson swore the fish still gave him meaningful looks sometimes. The traffic lights returned to normal timing, the coffee shop went back to serving regular coffee, and the fire hydrants stopped growing screaming flowers. Kevin's followers, the former embracers of cosmic change, remained surprisingly close-knit. Their experience of shared unreality had created genuine bonds, and they continued to meet weekly for what they called reality appreciation gatherings, where they shared stories, supported each other through normal human problems, and occasionally speculated about the nature of existence. Divine commentary? Humans are remarkably adaptable. They've taken the memory of cosmic transformation and used it to build a stronger community. It's actually quite beautiful. Starts. Kevin himself had learned an important lesson about the difference between helping and interfering, though he remained as enthusiastically optimistic as ever. "You know what I realized?" he told the voice in his toaster, which had grown quiet since the crisis ended, but occasionally offered gentle guidance. "Sometimes the best way to help people is to not accidentally destroy the fundamental structure of reality." Divine commentary. Kevin has achieved wisdom. It's basic wisdom, but it's genuine progress. That's very insightful, Kevin. Thanks. I'm thinking about getting into motivational speaking. You know, sharing my experiences with cosmic transformation and community building. Divine commentary. And there it is. Kevin wants to become a motivational speaker. I'm immediately filing a request for continued monitoring. Just in case, period. 6 months later, Kevin had indeed become a motivational speaker, though his talks focused less on cosmic transformation and more on the importance of community, acceptance, and learning from your mistakes. He was surprisingly good at it, probably because his enthusiasm was genuine and his mistakes were spectacularly memorable. His apartment building had returned to normal, though there were subtle changes that suggested their shared experience had left lasting positive effects. Neighbors who had never spoken before the reality distortion now had regular coffee dates. Mrs. Henderson had started a community garden with perfectly normal, non-sentient plants. Mr. Johnson had gotten a second goldfish to keep Dr. Bubbles company, and both fish seemed unusually content. Kevin had also developed a new hobby: pottery. He'd connected with someone called Cosmic Eddie, who was teaching ceramic classes via interdimensional video chat from what appeared to be a studio in the Andromeda Galaxy. Eddie's work is really inspiring, Kevin told his toaster one evening. He's helping me understand the relationship between creativity and cosmic responsibility. Of course Kevin found Cosmic Eddie again. Of course he did. I'm keeping a very close eye on those pottery classes. That's wonderful, Kevin. Just maybe stick to regular clay for now. Oh, absolutely. Though Eddie did mention something about reality-responsive ceramics that could revolutionize artistic expression. Final divine commentary. Case ongoing. Subject has learned valuable lessons about the consequences of cosmic interference, but retains his fundamental Kevinness. Continued monitoring recommended. Have established permanent communication link through kitchen appliances as necessary. Kevin's motivational speaking career is thriving. His community remains strong, and his pottery is actually quite good. Cosmic Eddie's ceramics classes appear to be genuinely harmless, though I'm keeping the Department of Interdimensional Arts and Crafts on standby. And then in paragraph. Sometimes the best divine intervention is simply making sure mortals have someone to talk them out of their worst ideas, even if that someone has to communicate through a toaster. Next case. A woman who decided to improve her neighborhood by secretly replacing everyone's lawn with what she thinks is environmentally friendly synthetic grass, but is actually a living carpet of aggressive alien vegetation that's slowly taking over the suburb. All right, I really need that promotion. End of official report. P.S. Sent message about something that has to be kept from aggressive alien vegetation. Kevin's pottery classes are surprisingly therapeutic. I may attend a few myself.